Well, now I've got to make a point to listen to it.
Time for thinking real estate.
And an update on the artsy fartsy
Artsy fartsy update.
marketplace.
Warning, warning. Artsy fartsy update.
Okay, so since we last saw you,
Yes.
we have 13. We had 13,
No, 11 booths.
11,
Or 12 booths now.
12 booths, and several artists in the gallery. We now have several more artists in the gallery, and we have 3
I don't know what you're trying to say.
more vendors joining us. We have Stone Hearth Bakery is joining us starting tomorrow, so we'll have fresh baked goods,
Wow.
breads, pies, and Adam out at Stone Hearth gave me a loaf of cheesy jalapeno bread. And
Oh,
Bill,
wow.
do you want to give your reaction to that?
Terrific.
That's it? I mean, you went over the top when I gave it to
great.
you.
It was phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
the-
something.
and-
Yeah, no, it's really great. Who is the vendor of that?
That's Stone Hearth
Yeah,
Bakery out in Brooklyn.
Absolutely delicious.
And
Absolutely.
then we have Summit Gardens is joining us. They're going to do a wreath making class on what day, Jackie? December 7th? Sunday,
Yeah.
December 7th?
Oh, let me write that down. Okay.
You going to come?
You
Make
know, I'd
wreaths?
like to.
Yeah. And I'm lining up a children's fashion show. I'm going to try to put together a holiday wear fashion show. I'm going to work on that today. And we had, for the grand opening preview party, we had 56 people through.
Tickets sold, yeah.
Yeah, tickets sold. And then it's free now, so there's been some misnomer out there that you have to pay to get in. You only had to pay.
Not a misnomer, it's a misconception.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, okay.
It's,
No malapropisms here,
I miss malapropism.
Okay.
Excuse me. That just
Yeah,
tells
it's a
everyone.
misconception. That was just for the opening night party.
Right,
That was
because
a
we had
ticket.
wine and beer and
So everything's free.
Yeah,
everything.
well,
you have to buy,
gotta buy the stuff.
but it's free to get
Yeah,
in.
but you can just look.
Yeah, it's
You
a
can look.
marketplace. It's like going to a farmer's market.
Right.
But
walk
when you
in
see the stuff, you're gonna want to buy.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can buy a piece of chocolate at a minimum. And
yeah, I
the
mean, I will
chocolate
say
is
I'm not a
amazing.
shopper, but I went in on the opening night and I was pretty amazed by the vendors who were there. It really is a really good setup with some good stuff.
Oh, it looks amazing, and there's great art there, jewelry, chocolate, ornaments.
And you have to give great credit to Lynn Vermeulen too, don't you?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
Lynn
he's-
Vermeulen's been, Lynn and Nate Vermeulen have been awesome. So
Because they've donated the space, set it up, helped set. I mean, it really is a great spot.
yeah.
Good.
So that's the update. Oh, and Saturday we had 125 people through, and Sunday we had, as of 3 o'clock it was 86, so just under 100 on Sundays. So we've had great traffic.
Good turnout.
Yeah, and almost every vendor I think has sold something.
So you're open every day now.
Except Mondays. We're not open on Mondays.
Not open today.
No. Tuesday through Saturday, 11
I
to
was-
7.
I was heading down there right after work.
Today,
Yeah.
you're lying to me.
Which-
You're
no.
lying.
You know
Look,
what though?
That was on your
I
script.
put it right on my calendar.
Okay.
Put it
Monday, artsy fartsy.
artsy. But come down tomorrow, Greg, and buy a pie
Well,
because the
busy
Stone
tomorrow.
Hearth will be there. They'll have fresh bread and pies there. And at the Lumen Christi auction, I bought this really cool turkey-shaped pie.
Pie bread.
Turkey-shaped bread.
Careful, this is a family show.
Yeah, it's $20 and it's really cool. We haven't, of course, tasted it, but I can't. Based on the cheesy jalapeno bread, I
You
can't
bought
imagine.
a turkey-shaped what?
It's a loaf of bread. It's
Bread.
in the shape of a turkey.
And
And
it's-
it's really cool, but it's huge.
It's huge.
And we're
20
saving
bucks.
it for Turkey Day. So
Obviously.
we won't try it till then. But we did have the jalapeno bread made by these guys, and as I say, it is quite spectacular.
Right.
Yep.
So we have some cool stuff happening. Stay tuned. We'll keep you abreast so you can be the breaking news of all the events.
Now that's 11
some-
o'clock.
11 to 7
Tuesday.
Tuesday through Saturday and 12 to 4 on Sundays. And if somebody wants to do their Christmas party there, luncheon, there's plenty of space. We can set up the tables and chairs and they cater it in and
Well,
life is good.
wow. Just call you.
Yes, 780-3800.
Can they talk to Jackie too?
They can, because
Right.
that's probably who I wrote them to, but,
Yeah,
Right.
right. You won't talk to them, they'll
But
just
it's
say,
just
"Let me put you
easier to
through
say yeah.
Jackie." Right.
right.
Again,
So on to the subject.
So a rousing success.
Yeah, oh, I'm very happy, and the artists are, that
Tickled.
they're absolutely happy.
tickled pink,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
not ecru.
Right. So,
Mauve.
Could be mauve too.
they're
yeah.
looking
Yeah,
forward to
yeah,
next
right.
year. Actually.
Already?
Yeah,
They just opened.
I know,
Because I
they're,
know that next year the
It'll-
Fartsy Artsy one, because it's not going to be the Artsy Fartsy, you got to rename it, so it's going to be the Fartsy Artsy
Okay.
marketplace next
Beautiful.
year. Yeah. So, all right.
Okay.
alright,
So you want to actually get down to some subject?
Sure.
Of substance?
sure.
Right.
What would you like to
I
talk
had
about?
one topic, but you had another one that I thought was a better topic.
Unrecorded documents?
Yeah.
Chain of title?
Yeah, and the order of recording and things like that, and protecting the interest that you may have, particularly relatives who make a loan to kids to buy a house, something like that. And,
Have you ever done that, Craig?
What?
Loaned your kids money to buy a house?
Not to buy a house. I've loaned them money.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never got it back.
I should
Any
tell you,
of it.
yeah, I was going to say, that's not a loan. That's a gift.
Yeah.
You made a gift. You might
Well,
have
we
characterized
helped
it
Jack
as a loan.
Started out to be a loan.
Yeah, no, it was a gift.
We
Trust
helped
me.
Jackie and Teddy out.
Yeah.
They
So,
bought theirs. And they
But-
took money out of their IRA years ago.
but the circumstance arises, and the same thing is true in a divorce, where the parties get a divorce, they've owned the home. Now one ex-spouse is entitled to proceeds of sale sometime down the line when the other spouse sells the house
Oh,
or
so they
maybe
don't have
other
to-
property.
So they could agree that one spouse lives there until X period of time and then they sell the house?
Yeah,
I guess
sure.
you could agree to anything.
Oh, yeah, of course. And,
Mm-hmm.
and you provide that, you know, the spouse who's no longer living there, because it's a marital home and the kids are living there with the custodial spouse. When that house gets sold, the ex-spouse, the non-custodial spouse, would get a portion of the proceeds. And so you have to protect on the record whatever the arrangement may be. And I'm just picking that as a specific example, but the one you're having is sort of unusual in that there was actually a mortgage that was given by one spouse to the other spouse, and the mortgage never got recorded. And so now the issue becomes, if the ex-spouse who's occupying the house, whose name is on
Right.
the title, ex-spouse who's, yeah, right, yeah, who's
Who
occupying the
had a
house.
mouse?
Thank you.
What a louse. It's a holiday week. Bill, come on.
Like, no.
Hey, did you hear that story about the oil magnet down in Texas that,
Henry Ham,
yeah,
yeah.
is that unbelievable?
What happened to him?
Well,
You're talking
he's-
about Continental Resources.
Well,
He's the
he-
president of.
He's divorcing his wife.
Oh yeah, $1 billion or something
Yeah,
like that. Right.
she's,
Was that Ham?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
He
saw
offered her $1 billion and she's suing
for more.
because he's worth $80 billion.
Yeah, I wouldn't accept $1 billion either. Then I'd marry him if I knew he had 80 billion. Okay, as much as I love my wife,
Is that kind of
No,
marriage
I'm just
legal
kidding.
in Texas?
probably no. In Texas, no. I'm sure the Governor
That
Perry
would
would
be
not permit it. Yeah. I think he'd be shot for that.
Polygamy,
Texas.
bigamy or something.
I'd let you marry him.
As long as you got a piece of the action. Okay, so now that
I'd
she
let
now-
both of you marry him.
Okay, so now that she's hassling me, I'm going to give you one of the best pieces of. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know what the definition of bigamy is?
You've already told this.
On air?
Yeah, I think so.
No? Do you remember my telling this? I don't remember telling it on air. But then I'm 67, so my memory isn't that good.
Mine's shot too.
Definition of bigamy is having two wives, right?
Something like that.
All right. What's the definition of monogamy?
Having none?
No,
One?
having one wife too many.
Okay. All right.
Oh, listen, your life would be hell without me.
I want to think over that.
It
one
would
for a
be
little
boring,
bit.
I can guarantee you that.
Not necessarily. Anyway, so we're talking about recording of these. If you are making a loan, and I'm doing this right now on a property that a client of mine is buying over the Detroit area. It's actually a factory, an industrial site with a factory on it. We're talking about a lot. okay, so for the people, this is radio, so you can't
This is
see what's going
radio.
on, so I'm doing a little bit of gesticulation here. Okay, not articulation, not manipulation, but gesticulation.
Can you
right?
say that on a family show?
You can, yeah. There's
Gesticulation?
some Asians you might not want to say, but the gesticulation, but I'm doing that, so my wife reaches over and puts her hand gently on my hand, so I'm no longer gesticulating, all right? So, at any rate, the point is that, and I've lost my complete train of thought. No, the point is, if you're getting that interest, and in this case, the purchaser is getting a personal loan, putting it into the company, et cetera, so we have to make certain that the documentation not only fits what the loan is, if I'm taking any security interest, in this case, the security interest is in stock, and then which is being subordinated to the main lender's interest, but just the simple example of a parent giving a loan to a kid, taking back a mortgage, that mortgage has to get recorded. And I see in a number of cases, certainly not a majority, but enough that it's a concern, where they sign the note, they sign the mortgage, and then they put the mortgage away in a drawer. Problem happens between, they made a loan to the son and the daughter-in-law, and then the son and daughter-in-law get a divorce. All of a sudden, the parties aren't as thrilled about paying back the mortgage, the note and mortgage to the parent, and so the parent is left hanging because in the interim, they've done something with respect to the property, gotten an equity loan, something else that makes that parent's mortgage now subordinate to the first mortgage and now subordinate to the home equity loan as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a real issue in recording. Now, I've got a lawsuit I'm about to file out on the west side of the state in which the order of recording instruments has become crucial. They had a closing, mortgage was given at the closing, deed restrictions were put in place, and the order of recording had the mortgage recorded before the deed restrictions. The deed restrictions should have been recorded before the mortgage. So now the issue is, does the mortgage take precedence over these deed restrictions, or do the deed restrictions take precedence over the mortgage? So you get into some very technical issues. People try to do this on a shoestring budget. They'll go to the title company, say, hey, prepare this document, or they'll go to the realtor, or they'll go to somebody to just prepare a document. They'll go online and get the document prepared, but they don't have any clue as to how to protect that interest once it's created.
Are there other documents that one might be involved with that should be recorded that they don't do? Deed might be one.
Yeah, one of the classic mistakes is where a parent signs a deed over to a child or children, but they want it to take effect on their death. And so they sign a quitclaim deed, they get this notion, they go to a lawyer, sign the quitclaim deed, or they go online, get a quitclaim deed, but they don't want it to take effect until death. So what they do is they put it in an envelope, and they say on the envelope to be delivered to my daughter Susan or whatever it is upon my death, put it in a drawer, and they might even tell Susan about it. But the problem is that you can't do a transfer on death through a lifetime transfer. In other words, that deed is invalid. It has to be delivered during the lifetime of the grantor. Once the grantor dies, the way you transfer property is either through a trust that was created so that the trust continues beyond the death of the individual, or it transfers through probate or some other mechanism for transfers upon death. That the deed is a transfer during lifetime.
Wouldn't
You
that
can't-
eventually
Go
be
ahead.
transferred through probate?
Yeah, but maybe it's the siblings are Susan, Bobby, and Bill, and because of Susan taking care of the parents for so long and Bobby and Bill ignoring the parents, they wanted the property to go to Susan only. But now all of a sudden through probate it goes to all three kids equally. So there's a reason why you do this, and you also end up having probate, although I may be able to do a
Wouldn't that be in your will?
yeah, but that's how I dispose of things in a will. Or upon
So-
death, is I use a will, and that goes through probate.
So
But
Susan,
if I
we're
want to
smart.
avoid probate, I either have to make an inter vivos or lifetime transfer. I have to give that property to Susan during my lifetime and reserve a life estate, which would be the smartest way to do it. Or I can use what's known as a ladybird deed. These are now recognized in Michigan. They started in Texas with Lady Bird Johnson. The ability to keep title under a ladybird deed and then transfer the title to someone upon my death. So a ladybird deed, but that's a special kind of deed that you have
And
to
that's
use.
different from a life estate.
Yeah, it's different in terminology, but it works out to be the same. It's
Oh.
really interesting.
Good to know that I know something.
Yeah, yeah. So there are a variety of mechanisms, and as I say, I don't do estate planning. My associate does estate planning.
So if Susie were smart, she'd go get that deed out of the drawer, give it to her mother while she was dying and say, hand this to me.
Yeah, as long as her mother was compos mentis, as long as her mother had legal capacity, to know what she was doing and deliver that deed. Yeah.
In front of somebody.
Yeah, preferably in front of somebody. You don't need a witness on a deed, but the deed when the mom signed it was presumably acknowledged by a notary to make it effective. I can have what's known as a holographic will, but I can't have a holographic deed, which is just in my own handwriting, non-notarized. So I've got to get the deed notarized. I put it in the drawer, put it in the envelope, but as long as I physically deliver it, or at least state an intention. There could be a nurse there, and the mom says to the nurse, hey, I've got a deed in my drawer in my desk at home. I want that delivered to my daughter now. And if you could prove that, that would constitute delivery as well.
But you're dead.
No. I mean,
No,
I give
before she
that
dies.
instruction before I die. I'm not
Oh.
giving it after I
She's
die. I'm sitting there, but my daughter isn't there. The deed is back in my desk drawer. I say to the nurse, I want this delivered to my
But
daughter right now.
can't you just put that in your will?
Yeah, but you can't.
You want Susie to have it and the.
Yeah, but the problem
other
is
two are
now
out.
it has to go through probate.
Okay.
By doing the deed, I simply record the deed. Susie now owns the property. Or I deliver the deed, Susie records it, and Susie owns the
So if it
property.
gets to probate, you could have
No, I can
problems?
still. Well, yeah, I've got this huge lawsuit. I've been involved in a number of them over the years, but I've got a huge lawsuit
Oh.
going in Illinois right now between 6 siblings. I represent 4. Yeah, and their
Parents would be rolling over in the grave. if
But
they-
the parents actually set up trusts and wills and all this sort of stuff, and even then there's still a dispute. So you can't eliminate the possibility of a dispute. You can minimize it, but it's easier to minimize that dispute through an inter vivos transfer and inter vivos during lifetime transfer, or using a trust than it is relying on.
Could I
a
still
will
fight
and
that?
probate.
If my mom gave a deed to Betsy and she died shortly after handing it to her, could Martha and I fight that if we wanted to?
You would fight that on the basis of capacity or undue influence. In other words, and don't use yourself or your family as an example, as
Well,
somebody
it's just
else.
lack of any.
Her mother was at the Lumen Christi auction on Saturday night and looked absolutely fabulous. I mean, she's 87
Wow.
years old, and I mean, she looked fabulous. So let's take somebody else.
Well, I was just,
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
you.
No,
you
don't
said
use a
Sue,
personal
You
example.
said Sue, Bob, and Billy, and I know.
Those are just names. Yeah, well, that's just. So anyway. It's so difficult.
Silence.
Okay, so anyway.
There will never be any.
You could challenge any conveyance, whether it's inter vivos or testamentary upon death, on the basis that the person lacked legal capacity to understand what it is they had and what it is they were disposing of and to whom they were disposing it. And then there's a concept called undue influence, where someone doesn't have to lack legal capacity, however, they're subject to the influence of somebody. In other words, a daughter is taking care of a parent, the parent has become so dependent on the daughter's now in a quasi-fiduciary relationship with the parent, and that child is able to unduly influence the parent. So that's another way that you set those things aside. And there are lots of lawsuits over undue influence. Happens all the time.
Well, we are running out of time.
As usual.
Can you believe that? So I have a house that has a price reduction. 999 Evanston is reduced to $75,000, and that house is 1.5 bathrooms with 5 bedrooms. It's 2,400 plus square feet. It is an amazing house, and the kitchen is to die for. It's huge, granite counters, brand new cabinets, beautiful kitchen, nice huge bathroom that's new, laundry in the bathroom, first floor bedroom, actually 3 first floor bedrooms. So anyhow, down to $75,999 Evanston. That is actually a steal. The other one I want to point out is 411 West Morel. I noticed the other day that one's down to 69.5. That's a cool 2-story brick home with a garage, detached garage, fenced in yard. Almost 2,300 square feet with 2 full baths. And I noticed that the house across the street has been demoed down, so the neighborhood is improving every minute.
Good.
Take a look at that one. That's a cool house. We have a lot of great houses. There's one with Western School District at 5515 Kibbe Road, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, over 1,500 square feet, 127.9. 904 West Washington's down to 79.9. That's a cream puff of a house, almost 1,500 square feet. Forest Lake, a ranch, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, fireplace, almost 1,500 square feet. It's only 119.9.
Call this number,
780-3800.
Thinking Real Estate.